Today we want to talk about how we perform order of operations in mathematics. When there's more than one operation to perform in a number sentence, such as this one. When we look, there's an addition and a division and then a subtraction. There's an order that's been agreed upon in terms of what operation we'll do first and what operation we'll do second and so on. The way that most students remember that is they think of BEDMAS. And BEDMAS stands for brackets, exponents, division and multiplication, addition and subtraction. And those are the operations that we'll be talking about. Now there's one flaw in BEDMAS, and that is some of these operations are grouped together. Now the first thing that we will do is we will perform all operations that appear in brackets. When the brackets have been reduced down to a single number, then we'll move on. And then we do any exponents that we see. Once the exponents are done, then we move on to division and multiplication in the order that they appear. So we don't do the division and then the multiplication. We do them in the order that they appear from left to right in the number sentence. And so I say those are really of the same rank. And the same is true for addition and subtraction. They are really of the same rank as well. So if we're to look at this number sentence, here's how I would like you to do this. I want you to do one operation at a time using the correct order and writing everything down that you're doing. So in this case, there's no brackets, there's no exponents. So we're going to start by doing division and multiplication. And there's a division, so we're going to leave the 12 plus, but we're going to perform that division. And 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then minus 1. There's no more multiplication, there's no more division, so we move on to the fourth step, which is addition and subtraction. Now, we do them in the order they appear from left to right. So 12 plus 3 is 15, minus 1 is 14. And that's exactly how I want to see you working these questions. So if we were to go on to the next question, the next one looks relatively simple, 11 minus 6 plus 4. But what I find is often students do this incorrectly. And they start off and they say, well, I'm going to do the addition and then the subtraction, which again is not correct, because the addition and subtraction are the same rank. We should be doing them from left to right. And if you were to do it this way, that's the incorrect answer. So that's not right. Remember, there's no brackets, there's no exponents, there's no multiplication or division. We do the addition and subtraction in the order they appear from left to right. So we should be doing 11 minus 6 first, which is 5, plus 4, which is 9. And that would be the correct answer. The next question we see is rather complicated, and let's look at the correct way of doing this. Then we'll talk about some of the common errors that students make. Order of operations says we do all operations within the brackets first. So I'm going to start here first, and I'm going to work on that until it's a single number. Now within that, we still follow the next steps. Within that, I would do the exponents first. Well, there aren't any. I realize there is an exponent, but it's not within the brackets, so I'm going to stay within the brackets. There is two multiplications to do, and there's also a subtraction. So order of operations says I would do the multiplications first. So here's how I'm going to write that out. I'm going to do that first multiplication within the bracket. 5 times 3 is 15, minus 2 times 6, minus 2 cubed. Now, I'm still working within the bracket. There's still another multiplication to do, so that's what I'm going to do next. So 15, 2 times 6 is 12. Now within the bracket there's still one more operation to do, and that's its subtraction. So 2 plus 3, bracket 3, minus 2 cubed. And now I'm done all the operations in the bracket. And how I know that is because now there's just a single number there. So now when I look at this number sentence, there's one other thing that's implied. There's a 2 plus 3 bracket 3. And when it's written that way, that means it's a multiplication between those two. So it's a 3 times 3, minus 2 cubed. Now order of operations says I have to do the exponents first. So I'm going to do that exponent. And remember that 2 cubed isn't 2 times 3. It's 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times itself, or 3 2's multiplied together. So if I do that, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So this would be 2 plus 3 times 3 minus 8. So I'm done my exponents. Now I have to do my multiplication and division in the order they appear. There is a multiplication, so I'm going to do that next. So 2 plus 9 minus 8. Now there's no more multiplication or division, so I'm going to do the addition and subtraction in the order they appear, from left to right. So 2 plus 9 is 11 minus 8, and 11 minus 8, of course, is 3. So again, that's how I'd like you to show me your work on this one. Let's talk about some errors that students can make. The first error is a real simple one. They look at that 2 plus 3 in front of the bracket, and they tend to think that should be done first. And so they start off right like this. And right away, that's incorrect, because what you've done is you've done an addition, even before you've done any other operations. So right away, that's not correct. So let's back up, and we can't do it that way. Now, a second error, of course, is to do the 2 cubed incorrectly and say, well, it's 2 plus 3 times 5 times 3 minus 2 times 6 minus 6, and of course that's not correct. So it's not, you followed the correct, well, not quite the correct order, because you should be doing the operations within the brackets first, but you evaluated your exponent incorrectly. So that's not good either. The other thing that sometimes students do wrong is within this bracket, they perform the operations, but they just perform them as they appear. So they go 3 times 2 is 15. Okay, and then they see the subtraction next. So 15 minus 2 is 13. And then 13 times 6, well, that's a little more difficult. And suddenly we run into problems. And why we're running into problems is that we didn't follow the correct order of operations. We did a multiplication, or sorry, we did an addition before we multiplied. And that's not the correct order. We're out of order. We have a problem. So that is not correct. So no, 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 no. Let's try one other one. One that's a little more complicated once again, and see, again, follow this order. So the first thing I'm going to do is any operations within the brackets. Now there's lots of operations there. There's an addition and a times and a division. There's no exponents. So I do the division and multiplication. Now in what order? Well, in the order they appear from left to right. So 3 plus, well, I'm going to do that multiplication. 3 times 4 is 12. And then I'm going to have to divide by 6. So next, I'm still within the bracket, and I'm working on my multiplication and division. So I'm going to do that division next. So 4 squared minus 2 times 3 plus. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Okay. Now, within that bracket, now I just have an addition to do. That should be one of the last steps I do. So I'm going to do that now. Now I'm done with the bracket. So now I open it up and I say, okay, look at that expression now. I have 4 squared minus 2 times 5. So my order of operations says I should do my exponent first. Remember, 4 squared means 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16 minus 2 times 5. Now I have a subtraction and I have a multiplication. So I'm going to do the multiplication first because that's next in our order of operations. And then lastly, I do the subtraction. So take your time, one step at a time, always follow the correct order of operations.